High-achieving women are often told, your labs are normal. Meanwhile, while trying to live their life and scale their business, they're dealing with sleep issues, fatigue, mood swings, weight changes, and a body that feels like it's fighting them. On this episode of the Manifest and Chill podcast, I sat down with Dr. Natasha Mankins to talk about hormones, root cause care, and why supplementation should be a precision decision. Welcome to the Manifest and Chill podcast. My name is Tracy Ftacek. This is the go-to podcast for high-achieving women who are done with the hustle, exhausted by perfectionism, and ready to build the life and business they desire from a place of alignment, feminine power, and deep self-trust. I am the founder of the Manifest and Chill trademark ecosystem and creator of energy-aligned business strategy and a certified manifestation and visualization coach. We bring together grounded neuroscience, intuitive energetics, identity work, and feminine-led leadership to help ambitious women rise without burning out. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Manifest and Chill podcast. I'm so excited. I have my new friend, Dr. Natasha here. She is going to be sharing with us all the things about how to optimize your health in her personal specialty. And Natasha and I met in a very interesting way. I was in Austin just literally a month ago at a retreat and it was female entrepreneurs. Yes, there was a gentleman there as well. We're all inclusive. However, Natasha and I connected almost instantaneously. There was this when somebody's like that for you. And so we were talking and I put out a social media post of I'm looking for guests to evolve the Manifest and Chill podcast. And Dr. Natasha said, I'm here. Let's do it. So welcome to the Manifest and Chill podcast. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is such a joy and a pleasure to be able to see you again. It was a wonderful 3 days that we got to spend together. And, this is just a gem. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I'm glad we were able to bring this together so quickly because I know you have some exciting things happening in the next week that you're hosting a master class. And we'll dive a little bit further into that as we go through the podcast. And of course, anybody that's listening or watching this, there are going to be links in the show notes. I always want to make sure that you're delivered. So you'll be able to click through and visit Dr. Natasha's website. And really, I know she's going to stir up some questions and maybe a little emotion about where you are right now, which is A-okay, because we like to be in touch with ourselves. And then you can go over and really tap in to her expertise. So, Dr. Natasha, can you tell me a little bit about your story, your history? I know I shared it in the bio read before, but tell me, how did you get to where you are today?
Well, that is really such a good question. And over 20 years ago, I started working in a compounding pharmacy. That's like the good old apothecary days where we are making medicine from scratch. We're using the pure powder form of the medicine and we're personalizing it for you. Because these are medications that you can't just go get at Walgreens, CVS, a regular retail pharmacy. So that started the out of the box type of thinking that comes with medicine and individual personal needs. I started out as a technician, but I came home one day and I was like, you know what? I'm doing all the work and the pharmacists get paid all the money. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go to pharmacy school, which was a very tough decision for me because I was a single mom with 2 kids. So, obviously I had a lot to lose. So at 30 years old, I got accepted to UF, go Gators. And I went to pharmacy school, and after I graduated, you can imagine that was a very stressful time because pharmacy school is not easy to do, and being a single mom is not easy to do. So compiling those two things, I took my stress and I buried it very deep down inside. It doesn't take a doctorate degree to understand that that's really not a good idea, right?
Right. We talk about that a lot on Manifest and Chill.
Yeah, so as women, when we're looking at everything else, we're so busy, we have so much to do, and yet there's stress in life. So what are we doing with it? Well, at the time, I didn't realize it, but of course, that stress manifested into some chronic conditions. I had diverticulitis, I had fibroids, and I had gallstones.
Mhm.
I didn't know it, but as I was going to the doctors trying to figure this out, the doctors were saying, well, you need to be on birth control. I had a doctor tell me, you need to be on a medication that completely shuts down all of your hormones. I had doctors tell me, you need to be on steroids. And of course, in my mind, just graduated from pharmacy school,
Mhm.
I intimately know details about those poisons that I do not want in my body. So here I am struggling with the pain and intensity of these three medical conditions. And I didn't want to accept what was being prescribed to me. So thank God I was introduced to functional medicine through A4M, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. It's an elite educational agency, and you have to pay some pretty good money to learn about functional medicine. And it was really tough to do the modules, but the stars were aligning.
Mm.
I understood there is a relationship between estrogen dominance and the conditions that I had. And so when that light bulb went off and I started optimizing my hormones, changed my lifestyle, changed my diet, I mean, it was transformational. And I know that there are other women out there with the same mindset. They go to the doctor and they intuitively know, I don't want to be on an antidepressant because a lot of the times
Mhm.
that's that's the result. Here's a prescription for a medication that puts a Band-Aid and numbs you. So with my experience and what I've been through and learning what I've learned about root cause, how's the body supposed to work? Why are the symptoms that you're struggling with so tough and so hard when there is a way to tap into the way that it's supposed to work? And so that's why I started my business. That's why I specialize in hormones because, they are screaming quite a bit. And I can help either through supplements that I have in my professional dispensary or give you recommendations. So,
That's incredible.
sorry, that's my long.
I love that. It's no, it every stage of it is so important. And there's so many things that came to light as you were talking through all of this. I love how your story actually didn't start out, I'm going to help myself. It was more of in a functional medicine, get healthy, solve my personal challenges, right? It was more of a, those people are getting paid a lot of money and I'm doing the work. And I got two kids. I'm a single mom. I need to figure this out because I got bills to pay, which is such an example of what my listeners tend to go through. Is that's why so many women are entrepreneurs, is that we kind of start looking around at some point in our life. If it doesn't start when you're young, start looking around and saying, this isn't right. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about this that just doesn't feel cool for me. And that's where you were, is as you started really putting your life financially, education wise, in order to serve you and your kids. That's when you started actually probably paying close attention as the medical knowledge was coming to you of, oh, this isn't normal. This isn't right. This is actually making taking care of myself and taking care of my family and taking care of my work so much more difficult. And intuitively, you knew it had to be different. And that's what I always say with the women I coach, the entrepreneurs and the founders and the CEOs, is we've listened to the static for so long. It's time to get back to intuitively knowing that it's time to change the job. Maybe it's not necessarily become an entrepreneur. Maybe it's just educate ourselves on the difference. And the high level of education, as you were saying, for functional medicine, the investment you had to make because you were not just making it for the future women that you served or humans you served, you were really making that investment on your behalf, right? For yourself.
Absolutely. And I didn't realize synergistically that was happening in the moment, but wow, it really revealed a whole world that once you're seeing the light, like you're never going to go back to, a doctor who is just going to say like, here's a prescription for a medication instead of diving deeper.
Yes, exactly. And the human body, it's really what you do is not even just optimizing hormones. This is about optimizing the functionality of the human body, mind, body, and soul, basically. But your vehicle is through something that's wasn't accessible, and you're making it more accessible. And
Exactly.
accessibility really is what we need to create for other women in this world, no matter the level or place or culture or stature that you're at, is accessibility to the information that's out there. What is, when you're working with your clients, what are some of the transformations that you're seeing on the back end of spending time? Like, well, let's start at the beginning. When you're working with clients, how long do they stay with you for life?
Actually, not necessarily. It sometimes it is more of like a one and done. They come and they get their testing, and then their test results reveal like a personalized wellness plan. It's almost like a roadmap. Like here you go, girl. This is exactly, what you're making too much of, not enough of, and here's what you need to do for the transformation. And then, I do my follow-ups and it's just amazing because I feel like a lot of the men and women have both, had great success. My favorite story of recent was a gentleman who has been struggling with GI issues for a very long time. I'm talking decades. And we did some chemistry testing with him, which is one of the tests that I do. It's like I call it the biggest bang for the buck because there's so much chemistry going on in your body. And I am somebody who actually did not fall asleep in chemistry class. So what's ironic about it is a lot of people who have trouble with sleep, it has everything to do with their chemistry.
I love it.
With this, so with this guy, we did the chemistry test and, it revealed some things and basically just gave him a protocol plan to follow. And I followed up with him and he said, you know what? The timing of everything, I forgot to reorder some of the things you suggested. And these past 2 days, he was like, I am like right back to where I was. He said, so that's like evidence, right? That
Yeah.
what he was given was working. And then he didn't take it for a couple of days. And so his system wasn't back on track just yet because it had only been about 6 weeks. And his
Okay.
protocol was more like 3 to 6 months because when you're struggling with things for decades of life, it's not going to be overnight that, everything gets put back into place. So I don't ever want anybody to be on supplements forever. I'm not one of those type of pharmacists, but I will get a protocol plan that's reasonable to get your body situated in a way that you can just do it on your own. So I think that's why, for the most part, right now, it's not somebody working with me long term, but of course, we'll readdress anything that comes up after the first round of testing.
I love that though, because sometimes people will think that, well, here is this investment, and how long am I going to have to pay this investment, or how long am I going to have to be? Because that's what traditional medical industry does to us, right? Like, I have a family member that has cancer, and that journey has been a 4-year process, and it's regular treatments on a regular basis for a period of time. I know that this isn't cancer we're talking about now, but it's still, there's the mental fatigue of no end in sight is sometimes can be so much more dangerous to us, and more damaging than the idea of you have protocols, just like I have protocols for the women I work with, and how to realign themselves with how they truly want their company to run. You have protocols that are like, at the end of the day, you're in charge of when this relationship stops and starts. But I love how this gentleman was like, oh, because maybe the corrective and the regenerative process of their body is not as noticeable as we would think, right? And so to have this one little pocket of time where it's like, yeah, so that worked, and I got off the wagon, help me get back on the wagon again of healing myself. And so the relationship can be as long as they want, but your goal is not to keep them on this. Your goal is to let them live their lives, and let's check in once in a while.
Yeah. And just like you say, we have these protocols, and especially for women, I could have 10 different women having trouble with sleep, and I could have 10 different protocols that I put each one of them on, because it isn't just one solution, and it's not one size fits all for women, and we know that intuitively.
Which I think that ties back to the weight of you're a doctor. You know, you have the medical background, you have the education, you have the functional medicine background, you have access to so many different things. And I think one of the things that I really appreciated about when we met each other is you are very open-minded about conversations. You are willing to research, because like you said, I didn't fall asleep in chemistry class. So you probably get a little turned on when you do the studying and really get into it, right?
I mean, chemicals do very dirty things to one another. How do you think I remembered all of this?
Exactly. Exactly. So with all of that said, I mean, that as a patient, you would say that's really kind of fucking cool that my doctor that's helping me through this, if I say this isn't working, it's almost like a really exciting challenge for you to say, okay, I'm totally open-minded. Let's figure something else out.
For
Where traditional, and I don't want to bang on traditional medicine, but there are physicians out there that are so close-minded to this is the way it's always been. And that is the death to any conversation and any innovation that you can have in any layer of your life, whether it's business or health or relationships or any of those things.
Absolutely. And it's almost like, I feel really sorry for the practitioner when I am giving them solid information and I'm using, physiology, biology, chemistry to explain supportive evidence for what I'm recommending. And for instance, one of the primary care providers of a gal who needed progesterone, it was very evident from her lab results. And he said, I don't prescribe progesterone. She'll have to go to an OBGYN. And it's like, you don't have to be an OBGYN to prescribe progesterone. You can be a primary care provider and write that prescription for that.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I have progesterone cream in my supplement dispensary. So I was able to get her progesterone, and that made a drastic difference in her life. She has sleeps better and has more energy for her kids.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Can we touch on, because I was reading through your website, and I was looking at a couple of things on your social media. And I am in the place right now of busting the old bro coaching myths of entrepreneurship and the old school thought process of you have to hustle, you have to grind away, you have to do what everybody else has been doing in order to achieve the 6, 7+ figure businesses. You talk about how supplementation is such a precision decision and that we might see something, you know what I'm referring to? Though we might see something that says like you need to start taking vitamin D and I'm just pulling that one out and you're like that may not be necessary and it might actually hurt you if you do it, kind of a thing, or cause more complications. Can you dive into that a little bit, please?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that are taking supplements based on an influencer on TikTok, right? Like that's just the nature of society right now. But I do have a lot of people coming to me saying, I'm taking ashwagandha and I've been taking it for a year. I don't know if I should take it anymore. I'm taking berberine and I've been on it for 2 years. You know, those are situations where, maybe if I was a pharmacist who did not learn about functional medicine, maybe I would have agreed with that. But now that I know what your body needs short term, just to get it going, because your gut may be in bad shape, but just because it's in bad shape now doesn't mean that you're going to have to be on a probiotic for the rest of your life. There's just certain things and that's why I do discovery calls. That's why I do one-on-ones. That's why I do personalized medicine, because it really isn't, like I said, one size fits all.
Mhm.
We can do testing to find out what are you deficient in? What are you actually making too much of so that we can fix that? Because a lot of times our symptoms are screaming that.
I love what you just said about because of your training in functional medicine, you have access to layers of information that others may not. And you're not slamming somebody that doesn't have access to the information. They might be giving very kind, caring medical advice, but because they're missing this little piece of the puzzle over here, it may actually be leading somebody down a different path. And so that's the marriage. And obviously, the ideal situation is to have someone's GP and Dr. Natasha as the team, right? Like you have a team that works for you in your business. I have a team that works for me in my business. And I know that many hands create lighter lifting. So why would that not happen in the medical field, correct?
And it's a triad too. Like uh, patients need to remember that they are a part of that team too. They are a part of what they say goes into their body. And women have intuition for a reason. Fun fact, because we have so many estrogen receptors in our gut, that's where we get this gut feeling, this intuition. It's our archaic estrogen receptors telling us this is either right or this is not right.
I want to dive a little bit deeper into that because that's something that you have just given. I mean, I quote neuroscience all the time. I'm always giving doctor quotes, but just that piece right there, that might actually be a lead up to the intro for this podcast, simply because it's so powerful that we are scientifically built to sniff out the bullshit.
I love that. I love that you say it like that. I so agree. I so agree. And
And
women
do you
need to
see it
own that.
happen?
I mean, it's so empowering. I see it all the time. And most of the time women come to me saying like, you know what? I am fucking sick of dealing with this. This is, I want to pull my hair out. I want to rip my skin off. I want to beat my head against the wall because even though they don't have a doctorate degree, they know their bodies.
Yeah.
They know something isn't right. They know that it's their hormones and they're sick and tired of being gaslighted saying your labs are normal. I'm not going to do a thing about it.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that we're living in this time of the world to where more conversation is happening. We're seeing things on social media, whether it's down the wrong path, it's starting conversations and it's creating like flickers of moments for women to recognize, even if it's not 100% true to them, of I need to ask more questions, I need to have bigger conversations. And their algorithm will start getting fed with like your information and all the other doctors out there that are aligned with what your mission and what you're trying to create. And a phrase I always say, number one, women don't follow rules. We birth nations. Every single human being on this planet came through a woman. You can't tell me that there is not a code of DNA that is not purposely created, that it is our divine right to go to people like you, to speak to people like you, to learn about ourselves through people like yourself. And if there's anything that we can create in this podcast today, is that message to be spread that there's, even if the person that you're with right now, the doctor, the physician, the nurse, the what have you, is not truly hearing and seeing your experience, there are alternatives. And nobody says that you got to sign on the dotted line. Conversations are free. Knowledge is free. AI does that for us. Like you type in hormone therapy specialist, supplement specialist, and Dr. Natasha is going to come up on that. ChatGPT is going to recommend her. So those are the things. We have such a great level of access. And I would say if you're listening to this right now, remember what Dr. Natasha said. You are scientifically built to sniff out the bullshit. Follow that path to find the right human or individual that can recommend a team to support you, to listen to your cries, listen to your woes, listen to your challenges. And then with that doctor, you are set to say, this is the protocol, this is where we start, this is where we go through, and it doesn't always have to be this way. Hope.
Absolutely. Thriving, not just surviving.
Yeah. This has been a wonderful conversation. Before we sign off today, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Where can people find you?
Yes. Oh, actually, I would love to mention the master class I have coming up. That is on March the 5th. It's at 11 a.m. Central, and it is free, but we do ask for, registration, and you can direct message me on Instagram. My business name, it's Sultrosium Wellness, and there's a very unique story behind the name. Sultrosium is Sultrosium. And yeah, so I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn.
Love it.
And my website is sultrosiumwellness.com.
Perfect. I will have your website as well as your social media in the show notes for anybody that's listening or watching this so they can see it. Anything else you would like to share before we close out today, Dr. Natasha?
I just want to say it is incredible seeing you again. And I just really am grateful, thankful, appreciative, all the good things for seeing you today, and love what you do. And will continue to listen and appreciate all of your kind words.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a light in the world. We need more and more women just like you. So that meeting a month ago in Austin, Texas was not an accident. That's all I have to say.
Ours align. Yeah.
Perfect. If you found any value in today's podcast, I'd be extremely grateful if you would click below and leave a review. Also, if there's anything that comes through for you and you'd like to chat more, feel free to DM me on my Instagram account. Or if you'd like to look at any of the courses that I'm currently offering, check the show notes below, click through, and take my free quiz to get a clearer picture on what type of leader you are and if this is a season to scale, reset, or rebuild your business. Until next time, I love you all so much, and we'll talk soon.